Welcome back to Behind the Breeze, where we talk all things journalism and student media. I'm audience editor for TV, Madeline Byanak, and I'm here with the print editor-in-chief, Eleanor Shaw. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
It's good, it's good. I mean,
Good.
you know, student media is busy.
busy time of year.
Busy, yeah. So I'm more on the TV, but you do a lot in print. Can you talk a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so as editor-in-chief, I'm kind of the head honcho. I'm the person who helps manage our editorial staff, which is about roughly, I want to say, like 9, 12 people. I can't really count. But
Yeah.
And then they're the people who are managing the writers and helping the writers get the resources that they need, writing the stories that they want to see published, getting a hold of the people they need to contact. And so my place in that is making sure that the editors have the resources that they need to do that, as well as just making sure that we are aware of what's going in the paper, what's going to be on cover, what's going to what grammar's looking like in the paper, what content's looking like, and kind of being that final say when it comes to those like big decisions that we make for the paper.
Yeah. And how do you juggle having, you know, so many writers, so many editors, and you being, you know, kind of the top of the pyramid, like overseeing all of that movement? How do you deal with that?
A lot of the credit goes to the editors that are on staff because we have so many section editors. They are able to really like focus on a set group of, I want to say about like 10 to 20 writers depending on the section.
Yeah, wow.
And it helped like provide them with like that one-on-one guidance that I want to be able to do for our staff of like 50 to 60 writers.
Yeah, wow.
But
That's
it's a ton of people.
That's crazy.
But they're all incredible and so talented, and we're so happy to have them on staff. And for my role, that really I just trust the section editors, their judgment when it comes to managing their staffs, and I'll help them out whenever I can, whether that's through showing up to one of their meetings and talking to the writers, or giving some writers like feedback on certain articles, or maybe even having a kind of like a classroom moment with them, going through, this is how you write an article, this is from beginning, middle to end.
Yeah. And when you're talking to like a writer, how do you give that, like, maybe that not criticism, but that constructive criticism in a way that is not overstepping? Because, you know, like somebody writes something that is like their, that's their baby,
personal.
that's their like piece of, you know, how do you almost handle, you know, giving that criticism?
Yeah.
Almost, it's not criticism, but
it's not criticism, but like I know, you're so right, because such an integral part of being a print writer is maintaining that voice. In a way, it is like your brand, it is your identity, it is your mark on your piece. And so the number one thing I try to do whenever I'm editing or helping a writer out is talking to them, how do we maintain your voice in this? And if it's like pretty straightforward, then like it's okay, we can still add in some of your like trademark words that you like to fling in there. Okay. Sometimes they'll be a little too complicated, and I'll be like, no, we gotta take that out. We gotta keep it simple. But no, I think more often than not, grammar, absolutely, that's king. But whatever we can do to maintain the writer's voice while keeping it short and sweet, that's kind of the method that I use when approaching editing an article.
Okay, yeah. And you started as a writer, right? Yeah. What were you looking to emulate, like when you kind of were taking a leadership position? What were you looking to emulate in the leaders that you had before you?
Yeah, my first ever leader that I had in the Breeze was Casey. She was my news editor. And as a news writer, I remember texting her all the time, being like, can you read over this email? Can you read over this article? What did you think of this? What did you think of that? I probably annoyed her so much, but she was always very patient. She was always very lovely. And I very much like tried to bring that to the table as both a news editor, as I kind of moved up the Breeze's ranks, as well as like an editor-in-chief. I really admire her just like compassion and her willingness to just listen to me rant. And I believe the same goes for Grant Johnson, the editor-in-chief that I had as news editor, and the editor-in-chief before me. He very much brought that same kind of listening ear to the table. And yeah, I hope that I've been able to emulate that with my own Eleanor twist in a way.
Yeah, so just like a lot of listening and like collaboration.
A lot of listening, a lot of compassion, and also a willingness to like stick up for your writers. And even though that makes it sound a lot more dramatic than it actually is, but being willing to tell your writers like, no, you didn't mess up, or no, this is what we could do better.
Yeah. And obviously, like, journalism is, very serious at sometimes. How do you, keep the fun and keep it light? Because we're also college students. Like, it's hard. It's, like, hard to balance this. And I'm sure you feel that too.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Yeah, I think work-life balance is a conversation I have to have with myself every single day. This job has helped me get really good at compartmentalization.
Yeah.
It's helped me think of, okay, I'm wearing editor-in-chief Eleanor hat right now. No, I'm friend me. No, I'm like student me. And so helping get into those different mindsets has been helpful.
Yeah.
But one thing that's also been helpful is just the staff that we have. I feel like everyone here, everyone that I've seen, they get along well with each other.
That's true.
I've never looked in the mirror and been like, man, I'm gonna hate going to the Breeze office today. Like, sure, maybe I don't want to do any work, but I'm still gonna be excited to see my friends. I'm still gonna be excited to goof off with them, maybe play some Just Dance while I'm at it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's fun.
I think that it definitely makes what would be a pretty difficult job in terms of like the hours, in terms of the workload, it makes it easier.
Yeah, I think we've definitely seen some really serious moments in the office, but there's a lot of fun that goes into it. There's a lot of like goofy moments that are just like anytime anyone's playing something funny out on the speakers or like just stuff like that. It's nice to get that kind of break, especially like when you're doing kind of a harder story.
Yeah, especially when it's like those tougher moments and because, well, we can be celebrating like fun stuff from a football big win to a pretty like tragic happening on campus. I mean, I remember covering like the Red Point shooting my freshman year. We've had many a protest, we've had many a death, and it can get tough sometimes, but it's that coming back to one, that community that we've built, but not only that community, but built around that shared idea that journalism is here to serve our community, to serve the people who are reading what we put out and watching what we put out. And I love being surrounded by people that share that vision, that share that goal, and are willing to have a little bit of fun when we can, and also really like hunker down and get serious about it when it's needed.
Yeah, and you spoke a little bit about like what the point of all this is, but what is something that like motivates you to, spend your second year as editor-in-chief?
Gosh, 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've always known I wanted to do something in public service. When I was thinking about where I wanted to apply to colleges, one thing that just kept popping up in my brain was like journalism. I had been doing my school's newspaper. I was a big dweeb in high school and middle school. I loved the superheroes, like the Lois Lanes and the Mary Jane Watsons.
Yeah.
And so journalism and public service has just always kind of coexisted in my mind. And I very much like have brought that mindset here to JMU when thinking about a story, thinking about, well, what does this serve? Who is this serving? How can we make it serve them better?
Yeah.
And I think just like that public service mindset is really what kind of motivates me.
Yeah. And I think you share that with a lot of journalists. I think
for sure.
Everyone, like including myself, you kind of always have to be like, okay, this is one story, but what is the bigger picture? Even when you're writing it or when you're like writing the script or writing the paper or writing,
we always exist in the context of a bunch of other things. So we got to keep that in mind.
You got to keep it, like there are other things bigger than just this one story.
And
but
it's always bigger than just us. It's what's so great about being a student journalist is like, yes, we are focused on a smaller community, but what's happening here is like what's happening across the nation is it's impacting us in very real ways. And that's why localization stories about these big national issues are important, as well as not being afraid to like stick up for when something happens, pointing out when there is an injustice, or just being there to provide a voice to people who have felt like they've been done wrong.
Yeah. And speaking of kind of those bigger stories, is there one story that you've done that, you hold with you to this day and you keep thinking about? For better or worse, I guess.
I would say I've done a lot of stories in my lifetime.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, I'm 21.
Yeah, but it racks up.
Yeah, like I think honestly, the stories that I hold with me the most are the ones that people would probably skip over,
Really?
like my coverage of the Student Government Association my freshman year, those I would attend the meetings almost every week. Sometimes I'd be sick or not able to.
Yeah.
But it's like that showing up every week, that working within a formula because the meeting it's very regimented, and also just getting to know how to write about very important things like money, issues, like policies, like learning how to write about those in a very simple to understand way, and being willing to get out of my chair and go up and talk to people. I think that content-wise, they may not have been the shiniest, but those stories are the reason why I'm the journalist I am today, the reason why I feel confident in doing those shinier stories today.
Yeah. What would be like your advice to someone who's trying to maybe, I don't want to say fluff stories. I hate saying fluff stories. I think no story is fluff, but you kind of know what I'm saying. Like maybe those stories that somebody would skip over to those stories that are like student government and maybe even nationalization. What is your advice to someone who's trying to start doing those more hard-hitting stories?
I'd say just jump into the deep end, just go for it. It's very much like those videos, like the babies trying to learn how to swim. That you just
like
throw them in the deep end, the uppy, uppy, you know?
Yeah.
I think just being unafraid to go for it.
Okay.
Because what has helped me, I remember being a freshman trying out those hard-hitting stories and being so nervous because I'm like, all I've done is the SGA, all I've done is event coverage. But like my editor, Casey, like encouraging me, because at the end of the day, we still had that community. We had the copy editors, the section editors, the editor-in-chief, we had the managing editors. We had that group of people that it's never just one writer. It's a band of people who are here to support you, who are here to make sure that you're telling the stories that you want to in the way that you want to, in the way that best represents you and where you're trying to go. And that, I think that's just what's so beautiful about this as a student organization. And that's why I'm so proud to be a part of it and be editor-in-chief for 2 years. I hope that I've been able to provide that level of guidance that I've received in my experience to like the news writers that I once was, or the sports writers, culture writers, opinion writers, just anything really.
What do you think has been the biggest change that you've seen over your 2 years?
Honestly, I think it's kind of intangible, you know? It feels like it's a completely new staff and new organizations, but at the same time not. Where it's like
what do you
there's
mean?
there's the new people,
Okay.
there's the new ideas, there's the new directions, but it's like we still share that same goal of storytelling. And I think like yes, the backgrounds will change. We'll get LED walls when we used to have plaster, or we will like switch to broadsheet when it was like tabloid. That won't be happening, but unless it does, or like the social media templates will change. But at the end of the day, I think that we still maintain that value of storytelling, of shining a light on where it's needed, and just really being journalists. Because at the end of the day, we're students who are also journalists. So.
And I think I think a lot of us forget that sometimes. I think
no
a lot of
pressure.
us are like, we're journalists, and then, I have that paper,
maybe there's
I
a
have
paper,
that,
maybe
whatever.
there's an assignment, maybe there's a project, I don't know.
But, that happens. It really does just happen. You get so wrapped up in the Breeze and like what you do on a daily that
it is
it's
like a double-edged sword. You just it just can't help but love it so much. Oh no. But,
Is there maybe something that you've learned over your 2 years that you didn't think that you would? If that's a weird question,
no, I get
but
what you
like,
mean.
was there anything unexpected about taking the role?
Honestly, I think it was leadership isn't easy, but it's also not difficult.
Okay.
I think just letting you be yourself is honestly the biggest thing. I remember when I first became editor-in-chief, I was so caught up in like trying to emulate those past leaders that I had, to try to be a version of me, that wasn't organic to me. And so I think the moment that I let myself think like it's really never that deep, just let it happen, let the paper run its course. I'll be like, you can step in whenever. Just let it be. I think the moment I allowed myself to do that, I became a more confident leader, a more competent leader. And I like to think that it's reflected in the paper and the people.
I think it is. I like what you've done.
Yay!
It's been good.
Oh,
yeah.
Stop it, you. Stop.
Yeah. If you could go back and maybe change anything, would you?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there are definitely things that that came to mind when you said that, where I'm like, I wish I could have done that differently.
Yeah.
But it's very much like, without those screw ups along the way, we wouldn't be where we're at now. We wouldn't be sitting here. We wouldn't be having this conversation. And that's very much more of like a philosophical thing than a Breeze thing. But
well, that's kind of what this is, it's getting into the nitty gritty, like how do you feel about all of this?
Yeah, I think very much like those screw ups in the past. I remember like whenever you get a correction, that, at least if you're anything like me, that cuts deep. You take it personally, but you carry that with you, and you're never going to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
And those mistakes are necessary, especially at this point. I'd much rather make an oopsie at 21 than when I'm like,
than an oopsie at 30.
Exactly. When it's a little bit, when you don't have like the student label to go onto it, because even though we're professionals, at the same time we're still learning.
Yeah.
But no, I think that pretty much summarizes my thoughts.
And where do you think, because I even struggle with this a lot actually, where is that line between we are journalists, but we are also students? Because obviously, like, we all take the Breeze seriously, we take Breeze TV seriously, but it's not as serious as, well, I guess, I don't want to say that, but it's not like, we're not in the big leagues
yet. It's not life or death.
Yeah. We're not there yet.
We don't have
income. This isn't a full-time job yet. We're not going to get fired.
We don't have 401ks.
Yeah.
No, I think it's definitely, you have to come in with that mindset that this is going to be the base on which you build your career. That this is what employers are going to be looking at. That this is what people are going to consider when they're thinking, should we bring this journalist onto our team? But at the same time, like, we have degrees to get. I think that for me personally, the Breeze is like, it's kind of my love, my life. It's why I'm the editor-in-chief, but not everyone wants to be editor-in-chief, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to be on the editorial staff. That's okay. You can be a writer. That is so, so valid and so fun, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes back to like that leadership philosophy, where when I was thinking about existing within the Breeze, within only like my perception of how I fit and trying to project that onto like other people, being like, why aren't you doing X, Y, and Z? I think that's when I found that just more friction was created. And so I think just letting everyone exist within the system, let them experience all that they want, let them jump between sections, write whatever they want to write. If they're writing sports one week, culture the next, news the next, absolutely go for it. Love to see it.
Just not opinion.
Just not opinion. I mean, write for opinion, just not news and opinion at the same time.
Just not news and opinion
exactly.
at the same time. Yeah, I do know that. I never worked for print, but I did always know that.
Yeah, we kind of hammer that in. Not for no reason. Like, that was sarcastic, not that big of a, by the way. But
that's
funny. I think that
pretty much sums it up.
I think I said my piece, but
pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have for you. But thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is so.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, this is like my little vision.
Yeah.
So
no, this is like
you're happy to have you on.
Me on the wall is like incredible.
It's gonna change for every person.
No, I'm gonna be watching every episode.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Makes my day. Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode of Behind the Breeze, and look out for the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Yay!
And since you just can't seem to get enough student journalism content, follow @BreezeJMU or JMU Breeze TV on Instagram, JMU Breeze TV on YouTube, @Behind the Breeze on Spotify, or The Breeze on Facebook. Be sure to follow at least one of those platforms so that you can be the first to know when a new episode of Behind the Breeze airs.